So, first thing that we need to talk about, which kind of falls right into what we were discussing a second ago, is games you didn't think we'd play. And I think I should probably put the addendum, games you didn't think we'd play as long as we did, because what we're going to be talking about is Cyberpunk 2077, a game that we have discussed in, fits and spurts, and that I have played a little bit on air. However, the amount of time might surprise some people, because I think between both of those characters that I made, I am now at almost 77 hours into the game.
Which by any means is a decent chunk of change in a game, and probably more than you thought you'd play based on how allegedly bad it was during launch.
It's the reason why I didn't pick it up at launch, though, because I knew I would have a better experience if I waited at least a year for them to work out those problems.
There's a lot of games with that.
Yeah,
problem.
Yeah, I've discussed the idea of releasing betas essentially, so that we can test it for them.
We talked about that on a previous segment, which you may or may not link.
I might if I think about it, but it's me.
It's you.
But I was actually figuring that if it was in somewhat of a finalized state, I would probably enjoy it a lot, because I have CD Projekt Red's other work in the past, and I had actually been kind of waiting for this for 8 years or so since they announced it.
Yeah, everyone else too.
Yeah, everybody else too, which I think is why everyone was a little bit deflated. And then Keanu came up, and I was like, well, now I'm just totally sold. But I didn't need to get it right away. However, now that I'm playing it, it does have some addictive game loops and some interesting world building that I like about it. And
yes.
Now, here's the interesting thing, though. In games you didn't think we'd play, you have also been playing it.
I have. I waited also a year, and then I got it on sale for half off and reduced by $10 because of a coupon. Thanks, Epic.
Yeah.
So I picked up Cyberpunk for $20.
Perfect.
Worth it for the 29 hours I put into it so far.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
And after we're done here, I'm going to go play some more.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, I guess the thing I had said about the betas is that the problem for the game companies is that they'll probably still get the sales, but always at reduced prices to what they could have gotten them for. I think more people would have been okay with paying the full price for it if it was a full, it was a game out of the gate.
So I have compared it to after playing it for almost 30 hours now, and you playing it for over 70 hours now. I want to ask you a question, because I have compared the formula of the gameplay, the main game loop.
Sure.
I was like, it's similar to what Assassin's Creed and Watch Dogs and all of the Ubisoft games do.
Sure, yep.
But I think it does it better.
In some ways, yes, I think it does.
Because, so for me, I go through it and the map is there. So I'm driving through on one mission.
Sure.
And then suddenly it's I get a police dispatch because I'm in the area. And it's hey, there's an assault in your area. Here it is on your map. It's right near you. It's go do this thing. And I'm I'm here.
Yeah.
I might as well take these guys out.
Right.
So I go in, kill a ton of thugs.
Right.
Or not incapacitate them, whichever I feel like. Occasionally hide all the bodies, because that stealth experience is real.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'm okay, that took maybe 10 minutes. I'm back on the track to the quest I'm doing, and then there's something else on the way, and you stop and you do it.
Yeah.
And it feels more organic than, say, Assassin's Creed. It's oh, go here, do this. And there's... Yeah. You have to do it because it's part of the story. These are just things that you can go and do on the way.
Yeah.
And it feels better.
Yeah. One thing you notice with the Ubisoft open world formula is usually they'll just kind of have the map, and then they'll show you the map with all of the things that are on the map, and then you kind of just go and do whatever. Something that I found interesting with Cyberpunk is that there are new things that kind of arise as you get up in the ranks. There are new things that, as you gain street cred, there are missions that unlock based on how much street cred you have
Yes.
as you actually advance.
You get more gigs from it.
You get more gigs, yeah. Specific missions and stuff, and then other things unlock that are along the way. Other special stuff that you're supposed to do, Radiant Quest kind of stuff. And just off the beaten path stores and the like. But the other thing that I thought was interesting is how they actually do the experience system, because it's much more similar to like an Elder Scrolls in the way you advance, where you actually do things and those individual things raise up in levels rather than just gaining certain experience and being able to put skill points into stuff.
Right, and I think that's great because all the different talent or all the different skill trees have their own little thing at the bar at the bottom that tells you the level in it and gives you different things based on the level.
Yeah.
So like the better I am with handguns, the better I get with handguns.
Yeah. And then every once in a while, they will actually just give you a skill point as well as reward. But yeah, you'll get bonus criticals or whatever. With crafting, it will reduce the amount of resources that you need in order to craft, or craft at better levels or whatever. And then occasionally, you'll just get extra perk points that you can use to put into whatever you want.
Right.
And I liked that, and it kind of augments the just building up your basic stats, because then there's all these categories inside of it. A deeper system, I think, than a lot of them. Also the clothing system that you can build, and you can upgrade your guns and everything and put in mods. I liked that, and I think even traversal to some degree is a little bit better than like maybe even Assassin's Creed. Like there's a lot in Assassin's Creed where it wants you to go up the cliff faces and grapple hold your way up there.
Yeah.
And in Cyberpunk they don't really do that, but they're just kind of like, well, if you're able to vault over it, great. Otherwise, you're just gonna have to figure out a different way around it. Just kind of avoid it entirely if you can. And I have a leg mod too that will allow me to do a double jump. So yeah. There's either that, or you can take the one that can power up a jump so that you jump once really high. But I was like, I think the double jump's going to be more useful for me, because sometimes you'll see big gaps, and it's like, can I get over that gap?
Yeah.
I think I might. I think I might be able to now. So playing around with those mechanics and seeing how the world is built, I also just really appreciated the story that I've played through so far seems pretty good.
Yes, I actually enjoy that it starts off with the story the way it does. Like, the tutorial is very simple, but then you're into like an extended like intro to get to know your characters a bit.
Sure.
And then it, like, I'm 12 hours into the game, it goes, Cyberpunk! And I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah!
Like, I was joking to Ray, I was like, I'm gonna laugh when I get done with this, it's gonna give me a title screen, like, I'm finally into the game.
Yeah.
And it did. I was like, oh my god.
It did. I've seen that more and more with games I played, like Good Life, that I play, like, 5-6 hours into the game, it's like, the Good Life, like, it's...
Yeah. And I don't mind it, but like I do like the pacing they did for it, as opposed to like stuff like Assassin's Creed or some other games that just want you to be invested from the get-go. Yeah. And this one built up, you start the way you start. I assume it's different based on your background as Nomad, Corpo, or
Street Kid,
Street Kid, whatever.
Yeah. It is only for like the first 30 minutes or so. Then
I assume just that intro tutorial is different. But then it's like you get to know your characters, you get to know Jackie.
Yep.
And then they do some stuff, and then you're invested because it's like, all right, I've gotten the time to know this character a bit, and now suddenly, no spoilers here, but suddenly when that shit hits the fan, it's like, all right, well now I'm invested because all this crap happened, and it's interesting.
Yeah, the way I'd basically describe, and I think that this is interesting just because it is not the typical RPG story, in that essentially it's a heist gone wrong that you just got really deep into without understanding how deep you were gonna get into it.
Yeah, but it's told well.
That. It is, and it kind of leads to larger things, but you don't typically see that story. Usually you're the hero that is going out on an epic quest, or you have a mission from the get-go. This idea of, well, it was just going to be this one score, in and out, it's high profile, but oh no, we just saw something we were not supposed to see, and we are now, like, enemy number one, is a story that you typically don't see told in a lot of RPGs, and I appreciated that they were going to go a different route with how basically now I'm just trying to, one, make sure I don't die, and two, and two, clear my name. That these are now your objectives. It feels a little bit more grounded than the save the world sort of story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So overall, I think like the storytelling is great. I was commenting last night. Excuse me. When I played, where I was out in the middle of a junkyard.
Yeah.
And I was like, I stopped and I looked around and I'm like, I really appreciate how much trash is actually in this junkyard.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it actually feels like you're in a junkyard. Like,
oh yeah.
It's the little things like that where it's like, okay, but there's trash and appliances and broken shit all over the place, but it feels really nice because you're like, this feels like you're in this giant junkyard where there's just trash.
It goes on forever.
Yeah, and I'm like, I like this. It's like, who thought I'd be commenting on trash in a game?
Yeah,
but it feels good
because so many RPGs or the open worlds don't do that. They don't think to do that. Yeah,
right. It makes the world feel lived in.
It really does, which is actually the point I was getting to. The idea that, you know, the actual storyline is really nice. From the characters and how they present it, but then the environmental storytelling, like that junkyard, like the lights in the back alleys and the trash that happens to be around and the random people you see sleeping under bridges and stuff like that.
And all the people tweaking out with guns in their hands, pointing them at themselves,
yeah,
like they're going to kill themselves.
Yeah, the prophet guy that's always talking about conspiracy theories in the back alley, and all of these random things that happen really lend itself to the actual experience of feeling like you're in a world that isn't just like, you know, there for the heck of it.
It just makes it feel very dystopian, but not like, oh, this is so weird. It's like, this feels like a corporate run world where everyone's kind of downtrodden and you know.
Yeah, and I appreciated too the fact that it would be very easy, and I've seen it far too often where they wanted to create like a corporate dystopia, and they kind of just have everybody accept the corporate dystopia, and they make an ironic statement about how everybody's living under that. And in this one, everyone seems to know the problem, accept the problem, and even sometimes work to try to fix it, even though they know that it's pretty desperate that they're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
That I kind of like that everyone was, that for the most part they're aware of the world that they live in. There's also some really fun, like, just moments. Like I was mentioning, there's the gun Skippy that will talk to you, and like the smart gun, and you met a vending machine that was very nice, apparently.
Yeah, I met a very nice vending machine that tried to flirt with me a little bit, I think. I don't really know.
There was also a fun spot that I just got into. Delamain, who's the car. Yeah.
Yep.
He has you track down his wayward friends. Yeah.
That's where I came into the junkyard to find one of his cabs.
Yeah. The moment where you hear the cake is a lie.
I haven't heard that one yet.
Oh, well, anyway. Anyway, just for the record, there is one that you get, and I am pretty sure the voice for that one is literally GLaDOS.
Nice. I appreciate that.
From Half-Life, that does lines from Half-Life.
I think you mean Portal, but it's fine.
Or Portal, yeah. But they're related. I'm pretty sure they're related.
They're the same universe.
They're the same universe.
Aperture Labs takes place. It was acquired
by
Black Mesa.
Perfect.
So,
match made in heaven. But no, in general, I think the one big problem that everyone was having was the idea of the bugs that were associated with it, but I haven't found that many at this point. I think they've patched out a lot of it.
I think so. I also have a couple mods I was telling you. One of them that I did notice is the clipping with clothing.
Yeah.
But with one of the mods where I can like make my inner torso not visible if I'm wearing an outer torso.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
is more aesthetically pleasing, but it helps get rid of the clipping issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can be like, all right, well, maybe I don't want to wear a jacket. I just want to wear my shirt. That's fine too.
Sure.
It helps with all those clipping issues. And another one I have gets rid of some of the gray mesh issues.
Oh,
that
sure.
you can see with that.
Yeah.
But, I haven't really found any game-breaking bugs as far as I've been aware of.
I haven't had any soft locks, hard locks, or escapes or anything. The few things that I did find is, sometimes I'll have people that clip through walls or are standing above ground or in the ground.
Yeah, and occasionally I'll see, like, wow, there's like 3 of the exact same NPC right here. That's kind of weird.
That has happened to me too.
Not like important NPCs, but just like 3 of the same models walking around the same. I'm like, they could have done a little better with that.
Yeah, you'll go up to a gang, there's 3 people, and 2 of them look exactly the same. They're dressed the same.
Which isn't, again, it's not game breaking, it's just kind of a little weird.
Yeah, and part of me kind of forgives that, because there are a lot of very unique models in the game, and there's just a whole lot of people that they wanted to put into it. Sometimes texture pops in, so I've seen that. One time, a car drove off, and I just saw, like, this very polygonal, like, fuzzy outline of a person just lying on the ground, and then it disappeared.
Nice.
And then there was one time too where, like, I loaded up my game from my last save, and I'm outside a facility because I was gonna go in and try to sneak around, rescue somebody, and this van just out of nowhere crashes down on top of a car inside the facility, and I'm like, no idea where that came from, but
yeah.
But nobody seemed to worry, so...
I summoned my car once, and I turned around, it was like clipped inside another car.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
What happened here?
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah. But, no, overall, I think that the mechanics that they put together, like the actual game itself, without the technical aspects, is a pretty solid one. And I think the thing that really saddens me is if they had released it in a state that was, like, more complete, like they had really released it to the place where people thought it was going to be, the polish that they were going to put onto it, it probably would have been known from the outset as one of the great RPGs. And they kind of ganked that and ganked their reputation in the meantime by not releasing it in that state.
Probably.
Yeah.
But it is good. I'm enjoying it a lot. Apart from the storytelling, the world itself, the combat is fine.
Yeah. I liked what they did with the cover-based combat too. I like the idea that I can stand behind a wall and then I go to aim and it will edge me out on the side, or it will automatically focus me above the cover. Like, they actually thought that through.
Yeah, the gunplay feels nice.
Yeah.
I'm playing with a controller.
Me too.
I've had to turn my sensitivity up a little bit because you want to be able to get those headshots. The aim assist helps.
Sure.
Just so you don't have to be as precise.
Mm-hmm.
The gunplay's good.
Yeah.
I haven't used, like, the assault rifle yet, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Melee feels good. You can block. You can just go full-on brutal assault. You can use I'm using a katana.
Oh yeah.
I'm just hacking people's limbs off.
Yeah. The actual fist fight part of it too. I have gorilla arms, so I'm really focused. Like, my melee, I determined was probably better spent as actually just doing the actual fists themselves. They're electric. I have an electric rod for my fist. So when you get into the fist fights and the brawls and stuff like that, and just pulling out your hands, and even if you do like a power move or something on somebody who's unaware, it does a special animation to show you just pulling them in and punching them out, like, in the face, and having them roll over onto the floor. I just found that those moments were incredibly satisfying, more so than you would imagine. And I think that the overall package was really good. If they could have just nailed it from the start, and they didn't punt it so that it would be that game eventually, I think that's where their reputation got hit.
And then the response to it. But
and then the response to it,
But yeah, if you have not picked up Cyberpunk, and it is still on sale until maybe not when this episode's out. If you are able to pick up Cyberpunk when it is on sale, if you don't want to pay the full price because you're not sure about it, if you like that kind of game, kind of like the Assassin's Creed style open world game, but kind of more fluid and better, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like the combat I like way more than Assassin's Creed.
Right.
It's more of a Skyrim feel to combat.
Yeah, I'd actually say that it probably lends itself more to an Elder Scrolls than even the Ubisoft world, the way it's presented.
It's like if you mix them both, and took away some of the better parts of both. Yeah, if you like that kind of game, you'll probably enjoy Cyberpunk.
Yeah. Be
warned ahead of time, there is a lot of adult content if you're not comfortable with that type of stuff.
Oh yeah.
You may not really enjoy it. There are a ton of sex shops, for instance.
Yeah, there's brain dances and all sorts of stuff that you can get into, and it's pretty hard to get away from like the amount of like nudity that can be in it. you can avert your gaze because it's in first person.
There is a setting in there which is like specifically for streaming. There are two settings that are really nice. One is not allowing nudity.
Yeah.
Which is great if you're streaming or just don't want it, which is, again, is fine.
Sure.
The other one is actually to take out all copyrighted music, which I think every game needs to have a setting for that.
They need to, yeah. I want every game today to have some kind of a streamer mode. I've seen it more and more that there are games where it's like, here's a stream safe mode, so that anything that might get you dinged will basically just not be in there, that they can create a version for that. Please keep adding that in, game devs. You know that you're going to get streamed at some point. People would like to not be out of compliance, so that would be good.
But yeah, if you get a chance and you want to play it, or if you just want to watch someone else play it, do it. It's fairly fun.
It is. It's surprisingly engaging, more so than you might have originally thought.
And it's better combat system than The Witcher.
That is. I think that there's a lot of story stuff in The Witcher that were better narrative pieces, like the sub-stories and stuff, but...
Oh, sure, but the combat
But
sucked.
the combat was terrible. Yeah, no, we're not going to argue that. Geralt drives like a tank. This is why they did first person, folks. For everyone who was like, why is it a first person from C? This is why. It works better. But anyway, yeah, so Cyberpunk 2077, playing it finally in 22, so...